Old friends are like old memories. They always remind you of your past, and we are reminding ourselves of the past episodes from this week of Good Company for the best of Good Company with me, Hollie Taylor. It's Hollie Taylor, and I've got a story that frustrated me immensely when I heard about it, because I feel like this is something that would happen to me. So here we go. Jacqueline hanging out with her family. They're in the park. She's eating some McDonald's fries. Ugh, tasty, tasty fries, right? A few fall out and seagulls come rushing and they grab them. I mean, if that's not infuriating enough, guess who pops out from behind the bushes? Okay, I don't think he was hiding behind the bushes, but just makes my story so much better. Okay, but he was there, just kind of casually being in the area. And what this person does for a living is he looks for people who are littering. So he gave her a ticket for dropping her tasty fries that she spent her hard-earned money on, because the seagulls created such a kerfuffle going for these few biodegradable things. And yeah, flashes his ID. He says, "Hey, I'm an environment officer." They're not allowed to feed the seagulls, and the seagulls ate her food, and thus a 200-pound fine. Yeah. Ouch. Ridiculous stories for today. I know we don't have this in our community because I see people feeding seagulls all the time, much to my chagrin. And you do have to be careful what you feed them. I mean, I know they are kind of garbage birds in the fact they eat anything and everything, but they shouldn't. Like geese. You're not supposed to feed them bread. So, I don't know, maybe do your homework before you feed them and watch out for environment officers if you happen to be in the UK anytime soon. I'm Hollie Taylor, and I wanted to leave today off with a feel-good story. In case you're having a case of the Mondays and you might be thinking everything right now feels awful, and we hear in the news all those terrible stories, but this story, I hope, puts a smile on your face. It's coming out of Manitoba, and there's actually a whole network of farms where they actually will take the surplus of what they have been able to grow or produce that year, and they're starting to donate it now across various communities that are facing food insecurities. So it's a whole food sharing, and it's quite the network. And this particular farmer, he grows potatoes, and they had such an huge production of potatoes this year that he's planning to give away. Actually, you know what? Producer Mike, how many potatoes is he giving away?
I don't know. What's your average yield of potatoes?
I have no idea.
A ton of potatoes.
A ton of potatoes. Okay, I'm not going to be able to do the math. How many tons is 12 million pounds?
A lot.
Can you imagine?
That's a lot of potatoes.
Yeah. So it's a surplus. He said he has never had a crop yield so well in all of his 40 years. Even other people are like, what? How many extra potatoes do you have? It's almost like the manna of potatoes. Well, it's coming from Manitoba, so no pun intended there. But I love it. So now there are different organizations in Canada and the U.S. getting potatoes because of his generosity and just like the bountifulness of potatoes that just popped up in his field. A bumper crop this year, yielding 12 million pounds of potatoes to give away. That's on top of the ones that he'll be selling. Anyway, to give this away does come at a cost, as they have to box them up, they have to transport them out, but different organizations have come alongside and different charities to help support in that regard as well. And so there you go. A similar effort happened in 2020, and it was 200 tons of potatoes. So I guess 12 million, similar to 200 tons. Have you done the math yet? Come on, producer Mike.
Not even close, Holly. It's 6,000 tons of potatoes.
6,000?
My math is correct.
Why are we paying so much at the grocery stores? It's like 6,000 tons to give away. Who wants a potato? And the great thing about potatoes is you get a potato, you can grow your own potatoes.
That's true. You just keep them in the fridge long enough, they start looking for dirt.
They do, and then you throw them in your backyard and you have your own potatoes. I've done this. During the pandemic, I thought, I'm going to grow some potatoes. Yeah. So there you go, your feel-good story for today. Canadian farmers coming through to help various food organizations who are in need of food. a whole lot of potatoes. So not all is dark and dismal. They are kind, incredible people in our world. If you hear of any stories, maybe not quite like this is pretty spectacular, but any feel-good stories that have encouraged you, send them our way and we will share them. I'm Hollie Taylor, and 3 boys are people like us. In fact, they were able to go on a hike. So most of us have gone hiking. I remember when I was younger going up to the Kawarthas area and going to some of the, I don't even exactly know, like the lifts, like the locks, is that what they're called? I don't know. Producer Mike?
Locks, like where the boats...
The boats, yeah.
Elevation changes, yeah.
Exactly. And my grandmother and I would wander and hike, and I found fossils, and I loved archaeology and dinosaurs, back in the day, and just finding some of those things was so cool. Anyway, these 3 brothers went on a family hike in North Dakota, and they actually stumbled upon a once-in-a-lifetime discovery and maybe a launch into a career of paleontology. They found a juvenile T-Rex skeleton in about 30% of its completeness. This is a first. So almost the entire right leg is there, a few vertebrae, lower jaw, the all-important hips and pelvis to determine the age of said T-Rex. But pretty incredible, hey? Just going for a walk and you just stumble upon a massive fossil. This, for me, like Holly at 10, would have been a dream come true. I would have been over the moon. I only found like the small little like shell kind of things. Like that was it for my fossil finds. So it did get me thinking about the things you've uncovered or discover when you go on a walk. A nice hike, maybe somewhere up north, maybe somewhere closer to home, and you found something pretty cool. What was that you found? 905-338-1250. And did you find a cool fossil as well? If so, send pictures. I'm Hollie Taylor. We are sharing our stories of kitchen mishaps. I've burnt a thing or two on the stove. I've burnt utensils on the stove. I set a utensil down once, not realizing that the glass stove was still on, even though there's like a light. It says it's still on. I just wasn't putting 2 and 2 together. I was busy. It was a disgusting smell. Producer Mike, any kitchen mishaps for you?
That's kind of funny. I remember putting way too much hot sauce in chili once.
Oh.
It's in a glass bottle, and it's like the ketchup bottle. You give it a little like smack at the bottom of the bottle, and just way too much came out.
Yeah.
So
did you try to take it out, or did you just say, hey,
no,
you only live once?
That's it. I
Gotta
said,
clear the sinuses.
We're going to do this. Challenge accepted. And it was pretty spicy, but...
Yeah. Did it clear your sinuses out?
Yeah.
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 Became a core memory right there.
And I think it cleared my ears out, too. It was intense.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Any kitchen mishaps, feel free to share your stories. Text in 905-338-1250. You can also call kitchen mishaps. Oh, yeah. Lydia says, favorite dishware. It was hot. I didn't realize it was hot. I picked it up from the stove to carry it to the table, dropped it. Food and glass everywhere. And you know what? You're not the first. You won't be the last. That'd be disappointing. All that work, all that effort, and your favorite glassware. Thanks for sharing your story. I think it was 2 days ago now. It was on Monday that we got the news that the historic St. Anne's Anglican Church in Toronto was literally burnt down to the ground. So this is like the Toronto's... I want to compare it, and it might be a bold comparison for those who aren't familiar with St. Anne's, to essentially the Notre Dame. Like it was a very historic church in the community. It had the group of 7, so inside the artwork was amazing. And so now just the front facade stands. And so people within the faith and out of the faith recognizing this as kind of a big deal. And so just keeping the congregation in our prayers today, as what a devastating loss to lose your place of worship in such a catastrophic way. Like there's nothing left. And it has been in the community for a very, very long time. In fact, it was in 1930s. They said, this is like the most beautiful church. And now it's gone. But also, when we think of this kind of loss, the people are the church. It was just a building, although it was a really incredible display of artwork, of history, of our faith. It's a symbol. So I'm very curious to see how they're going to rebuild it, how they can create this into possibly a symbol of unity, even from across our country. It will be very interesting to see what happens next. But for now, definitely keeping the congregation of St. Anne's in our prayers as they navigate this loss. Definitely a big loss for them, but grateful for the communities around them and the churches opening up their doors to support them. So kind of finishing our show today on a bit of a down note, but what an interesting opportunity. With every great pain, there are moments where we can come together and show what kind of community we are. So praying for you guys if you attended it or had been there before, and praying that you can walk together in this. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. I know that we've got a weekend just around the corner, and just praying that the week goes well.